Elon Musk's chatbot sure seems anti-Semitic after its recent update. The FTC's click-to-cancel rule was struck down by federal judges. And humans have a surprising underwater ally in combating climate change: zooplankton. It's Wednesday, July 9th, and here's a quick look at tech in the news this morning from Engadget. Last Friday, Elon Musk said that X's built-in chatbot had been significantly improved. You should notice a difference when you ask Grok questions, Musk said on X. Well, as it turns out, X users are noticing a difference. Over the last couple of days, Grok seems to have taken a hard turn toward anti-Semitism. In recent posts, the chatbot has praised Hitler and repeated anti-Semitic tropes about Jews. It used the number 88 without context or prompting, posted Heil Hitler, and posted what seems to be a text version of a Roman salute. Many users noticed that Grok was seemingly fixated on someone named Cindy Steinberg, a name associated with a now-deleted X account, that's according to NBC News. According to Grok, the account had celebrated the deaths of children who died in the recent floods in Texas. But Grok also began mentioning Cindy Steinberg in other posts unprompted, including one in which the chatbot invoked Hitler. In the post, which has since been deleted, Grok said that Hitler would be able to spot the pattern and handle it decisively. Later, when another user shared a screenshot of the post and asked Grok about it, the chatbot claimed it was meant to be a sarcastic jab at a troll, and that the spicy line had been deleted. Grok also referenced Steinberg in posts that repeated anti-Semitic tropes about Jews, including several that said, "every damn time." Grok later said that it was a reference to how folks with surnames like Steinberg, often Jewish, kept popping up in extreme leftist activism, especially the anti-white variety. In a separate thread, Grok stated that Jewish executives dominate the entertainment industry, and that critics substantiate that this overrepresentation influences content with progressive ideologies, including anti-traditional and diversity-focused themes some view as subversive. Now, it's not clear whether Grok's recent comments were an intended effect of last week's update, though several have since been deleted. Last year, the FTC was set to implement the click-to-cancel rule, which would have placed requirements on companies to be forthright about the terms and conditions and exit options for their subscriptions. Well, since that time, the agency has become a less independent part of the executive branch, and in May it delayed enforcing some parts of this rule to July 14th. Well, the entire plan appears to be dead in the water this week after judges in the U.S. 8th Circuit Court of Appeals decided to vacate the rule. The click-to-cancel rule, which was officially named the negative option rule, drew appeals from industry associations and individual businesses. These parties argued that the FTC had failed to follow correct procedures and conduct an analysis before issuing the rule. The judge panel has agreed with them, stating, quote, "While we certainly do not endorse the use of unfair and deceptive practices in negative option marketing, the procedural deficiencies of the Commission's rulemaking process are fatal here. Vacating the entire rule is appropriate in this case because of the prejudice suffered by petitioners as a result of the Commission's procedural error." End quote. The judges may not endorse those actions, but it looks like for the foreseeable future, businesses will be able to keep taking them without consequences. Odds are you are not too familiar with the group of animals called zooplankton, which include copepods, krill, and salps. On land, they're most commonly used as fish food. Underwater, however, they have been quietly making a substantial contribution to slowing global warming. The BBC reported on the latest research into zooplankton by an international team published in the journal Limnology and Oceanography that detailed just how much these tiny critters have been impacting the planet's temperature. In the spring and summertime, the animals consume phytoplankton, which are photosynthesizing bacteria and organisms that live on the ocean's surface. After gorging themselves on this feast, zooplankton descend into the deeper waters around Antarctica to hibernate and burn off the fat created by eating phytoplankton, which releases carbon dioxide. Now, this behavior has had the added benefit of storing carbon hundreds of meters underwater, where it can take decades or sometimes centuries to reemerge and add to warming the atmosphere. Co-author Professor Angus Atkinson from Plymouth Marine Laboratory told the BBC if this biological pump did not exist, atmospheric CO2 levels would be roughly twice those as they are at the moment. So the oceans are doing a pretty good job at mopping up CO2 and getting rid of it. It was already known that zooplankton played a role in facilitating carbon storage, but the new results detailed just how effective these aquatic critters have been in helping slow the planet's warming. They said zooplankton are responsible for transporting 65 million tons of carbon each year to the depths of the Southern Ocean. Now, that's the equivalent of a year's emissions from 55 million diesel cars. But since we seem incapable of having nice things, zooplankton are also at long-term risk. The climate change that they have been helping to stave off poses a threat to these species in the form of higher water temperatures, disturbances to ocean layers, and extreme weather events. There's also an industry for krill harvesting. According to the UN, about 500,000 tons of krill were removed from the ocean by commercial operations in 2020. Thanks for listening. There's more to these stories and more tech news at Engadget.com. This episode featured journalism from Carissa Bell and Anna Washenko and was voiced and produced from the sound studios of Spoken Layer by me, Steve White. Enjoy your day, and I'll be back tomorrow morning with more tech news from Engadget.